Good evening and welcome to Kini News. The Movement Control Order 2.0, which was set to expire on the 4th of February, will be extended for another 2 weeks with the implementation of stricter standard operating procedures.
Di atas penilaian risiko dan nasihat KKM, sidang khas hari ini bersetuju untuk melanjutkan PKP 2.0 di seluruh negara bermula daripada 5 hingga 18 Februari 2021 kecuali di negeri Sarawak yang kekal di bawah PKPB, kecuali kawasan-kawasan di Sarawak yang telah diisytiharkan sebagai PKPD. Namun PKP 2.0 ini berbeza dengan PKP 1 yang kali pertama pernah dilaksanakan dulu, di mana PKP pertama SOP-nya amat ketat, iaitu total lockdown. Tidak ada pergerakan keluar daripada rumah. Semua waktu itu kita mengarahkan semua tinggal di rumah sahaja. Semua sektor ekonomi dan perniagaan hampir semuanya ditutup. Tapi kali ini kita lihat terdapat kelonggaran untuk sektor ekonomi dan juga perniagaan-perniagaan khusus, terutamanya perniagaan yang melibatkan perniagaan mikro, yang melibatkan penjaja kecil, peniaga-peniaga kecil dan sebagainya. Walaupun SOP yang dikeluarkan adalah ketat, kita telah pun menetapkan SOP yang ketat, dan untuk sambungan ini kita akan meneruskan SOP yang lebih ketat lagi.
And now we take a look at the nation's latest COVID-19 situation with this segment brought to you by Blue Air.
Malaysia reported 3,455 new cases of COVID-19 today. This takes the total active cases in the country to 47,847. Out of the local cases, Selangor recorded the highest number of new cases with 1,145. This was followed by Johor with 708 new cases, Kuala Lumpur with 619, and Sabah with 276 new cases. There are 327 patients in the intensive care, with 145 requiring ventilator support. 21 new deaths were also recorded today, taking the death toll of COVID-19 in the country to 791. Meanwhile, in his press conference earlier today, Senior Minister Ismail Sabri Yaakob revealed that the relevant ministries and departments are currently drafting the standard operating procedure for Chinese New Year, which is around the corner. He added that the National Security Council was also reviewing and considering applications and appeal for business sectors to reopen their businesses. However, he said they would only be approved after a risk assessment was made by the Health Ministry before being tabled at the NSC special meeting.
UMNO Vice President Muhammad Khalid Nordin has called for a fresh approach in the war against the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, if you like the content we produce, just take a moment to check the link in the description and to make a little donation to us here at KiniTV so that we can keep bringing you even more quality content. In a statement today, Khalid said that Health Ministry Director General Dr. Noor Hisham Abdullah has been working tirelessly to keep Malaysia from sinking, but the situation evolved to be a multifaceted issue beyond his power. He also noted that the latter's job meant that he had other issues to deal with apart from COVID-19. Khalid said what we need is a new general, not to replace the role of the Director General of Health, but one that will take up the mantle to lead an inter-ministerial collective effort to face the crisis. He pointed out that it has been almost a year since the first movement control order was implemented, and yet there are few signs of improvements. Thousands of citizens are forced to take up odd jobs to compensate for pay cuts, and many more are struggling to put food on the table while the public health system is buckling. He said frontliners are also overworked and undercompensated, and that the government would risk the medical institution collapsing if they were to continue any further without having a more sustainable plan. According to Khalid, a new general could focus on combating COVID-19 and coordinating response in all fronts, including health, safety, welfare, and economy. He added it was time to treat the crisis as a national issue instead of just a health crisis. PKR Secretary General Saifuddin Nasution Ismail has commented on Wisma Putra's statement over the Myanmar coup.
PKR Secretary General Saifuddin Nasution Ismail has pointed out the irony of Malaysia expressing serious concern about the suspension of democracy in Myanmar. He said this in response to a statement by Wisma Putra yesterday that expressed serious concern at the developments in Myanmar and called for a peaceful and democratic resolution. In a Facebook post today, Saifuddin wrote that a government that 3 weeks ago declared an emergency and suspended parliament yesterday expressed serious concern about a government which declared an emergency and suspended parliament 2 days ago. On Sunday, the military in Myanmar had declared a state of emergency and suspended the government on purported grounds of election fraud. The leader of Myanmar's democratically elected government, Aung San Suu Kyi, was among those detained by the military. Malaysia had also declared a state of emergency and suspended parliament on January 13. This was purportedly to help fight the COVID-19 pandemic. Prime Minister Muhyiddin Yassin had assured that a civilian government will remain despite the state of emergency. Muhyiddin had also stressed that it was not a military coup.
Petaling Jaya MP Maria Chin Abdullah has urged the government to focus on improving awareness and guidelines to deal with COVID-19 instead of stiffening the penalties.
Petaling Jaya MP Maria Chin Abdullah said there was no need to increase the penalty for violations of the standard operating procedures during the movement control order. In a statement, she said that the government should instead instill greater awareness and precise guidelines. This came following the statement by Senior Minister Ismail Sabri Yaakob yesterday that the government may amend the Prevention and Control of Infectious Diseases Act 1998 to increase compound fines against those violating the SOPs. Maria said that ministers must first stop flouting the SOP. She said that this is as it will only bring great disrepute to the SOP when these top officials are not punished for their violation. She added that the government should have aggressive campaigns on all platforms to raise awareness on the guidelines amongst the rakyat, and they could even make daily announcements via mobile vans. Maria also suggested that the government release specific data on the daily COVID-19 cases, including giving details on districts and towns. Lastly, she called on the government to provide clear guidelines on what the SOP entails, as it currently seems to be at the discretion of the police. She gave the example of cases where fines were issued by the police for being on the streets after 10 p.m, yet nowhere was a curfew or time restraint announced as part of the SOP. Maria said, statements that the government will protect the economy and people's lives are heard many times. Unfortunately, clarity is not part of the equation.
That's all we have for this evening. For more stories, go to KiniTV.com. Don't forget, we also post the latest news to our social media on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter and Instagram. You can also follow us there to get the latest news updates. Don't forget your mask if you're going out, and if you can, stay at home. I'm Daniel Anthony. Thank you for watching, and as always, stay safe, Malaysia.